to get into a discussion whether or not LeBron James and those boys are happy KD is hurt. Because basically, if the KD is hurt and can't go, if the San Antonio Spurs are the team that LeBron James has to face, I'm not sure he'd look forward to that. In the case of the Houston Rockets, you got a guy in James Harden that told me during Super Bowl week that the ball is in my hands. I'm going to get dudes in foul trouble. More importantly, I'm not going to be the timid soul who came off the bench for the Oklahoma City Thunder 5 years ago when we lost in the finals to the Miami Heat. I'm going to be far, far more aggressive than I've ever been in the past. This is my team. I'm the leader. I know what is required of me, and I'm going to show up and deliver. So his ability to get dudes in foul trouble, to get to the free throw line at will, to get guys sent to the bench, and to have marksmen around him, along with the acquisition of Lou Williams, makes Houston formidable. So my answer is very, very simple, Max. I'm not going to sit up there and say that Golden State is not the favorites, but could they get knocked off without the services of Kevin Durant? I think the odds of that happen have increased exponentially.
And Stephen A., we do have some new news breaking across wires right now that could potentially change your position here. Kevin Durant, this is straight from the Warriors, has a grade 2 MCL sprain, a tibial bone bruise, and from what we know right now, he'll be out of action indefinitely. He will be reevaluated in 4 weeks, and there is no timetable for his return as of right now. So again, that's a grade 2 MCL sprain and a tibial bone bruise, out indefinitely reevaluated in a month.
If Kevin Durant is gone, the Warriors will not win a championship. That's not going to happen without Durant. But let's take the case that Stephen A. just responded to. Let's say he gets back by the playoffs, and he's something less than 100%. He's 80%. Not only do I think that even without Durant for the rest of the season, the Warriors are likely to win the West to be the #1 seed, I also think at, let's say, 80% of Durant, the Warriors get out of the West once the playoffs roll around. Now, obviously, their odds of succeeding have decreased without Durant, of course. You lost the second-best player in the league, most likely, right behind LeBron James. But they are 4 games better than the Spurs right now, 8.5 games better than the Rockets. The Warriors have 22 games to play. Do I think without Durant, let's say the addition of Harrison Barnes, and I agree with you, Stephen A., that mental toughness and the kind of good teammate that he is may be exactly what the Warriors need, a little bit more of that. But the point is, I don't think the Spurs are 4 games better than the Warriors taking Durant off the Warriors over a 22-game period. And I certainly don't think the Rockets are 8.5 games better. And why do I say that? Well, yesterday we had a good little litmus test or a good little indicator. They go across country. They just began a cross-country road trip. They play a bunch of games in not that many days. They were playing the second of back-to-back on the road across the country. Steph came into the game ice cold and remained cold throughout most of that game. They played essentially without Durant, and they played one of the best teams in the East. Obviously, that team was at home, and they've been hot. And what happened? The Wizards were lucky to come away with a win by the skin of their teeth. And what does that highlight about the Warriors? Even, you don't have Durant now. You also don't have Bogut or Barnes. What it highlights is a lot of the praise that the Spurs get for being coached up so well, for being this machine. The Warriors deserve that, too. With Kevin Durant, they're basically the Spurs with more talented personnel. Without Kevin Durant, they're kind of the Spurs. They know exactly how to run what they run. They've been doing it now for several years. They've had a lot of success with it. And again, I bring up the second of back-to-back cross-country road trip, Stephen A., because what's the safest bet in sports? NBA, second of back-to-back, on the road, especially across the country, that team's likely to lose, particularly when they're playing a good team. Take the best player off that team, and they barely lose. The Warriors are really, really good. I think good enough to withstand the surge that's coming from the Spurs and the Rockets if they don't have Durant. And once the playoffs roll around, you add Durant, even most of Durant, to that mix, they're going to get out of the West, provided Durant comes back for the playoffs.
Well, the bottom line is I think you're wrong. And the reason why I think you're wrong is because you're acting like they're the Spurs without Kevin Durant. They're not the Spurs without Kevin Durant because the omission of Andrew Bogut and Harrison Barnes they haven't had to. They've had to deal with each other because they've had Kevin Durant. So you replace those two with the second best player in the world. That's one thing. But to lose that second best player in the world, now the absence of him after you've been playing with him this long, combined with the absence of Harrison Barnes and Andrew Bogut, really, really hurts you, particularly against the Spurs, because if nothing else, both Barnes and Bogut were formidable defensively. Suddenly, without the rim protector in a Bogut, without a defensive guy like Harrison Barnes to sort of help you out, that puts more pressure on Iguodala because now he's got to log more minutes. The Sean Livingstons of the world, these are people that have been on your squad, true, but they played different roles. And not only that, you had more depth, so they were able to do more because they wouldn't have to expend but so much energy because they knew they had the depth. But now you don't have, you got to remember, if you're thinking about life without Kevin Durant, it has to be without Kevin Durant, Bogut, and Barnes. The three of them. That's not the same team.
Well,
That's
except
not
that we're
the same
talking
as the
about two
Spurs.
different things. What I'm saying is I agree with you. Without Durant, you take him off the team entirely, Spurs are better. The Rockets might be too with the addition of Lou Williams because they can score too. But there are two separate issues here. One, the rest of the regular season, who gets the #1 seed. What I'm saying is with 22 games for the Warriors left to play, the Spurs have a couple more than that. If the Warriors go, let's say, 16-6 without Durant, the Spurs would have to go 20-2 just to tie them for the best record. So I think it's more likely than not that the Warriors just hold off the Spurs because there isn't that much more time to make up those 4 games. Then once the playoffs start, we're assuming at this moment that Durant comes back and he's most of what he is normally, but maybe not all. In that case, we're no longer talking about the Warriors without Durant. We're talking about the Warriors with some version of Durant, and they've been better than everybody all season like that.
Well, I think this is a bit presumptuous, and maybe it's not your fault, but I would tell you right now, I can't assume that Durant's going to be there.
Well, that's another story,
I'm telling you right
of course.
now. I'm just telling you right now. So I'm only addressing your point, thinking about the absence of Durant combined with the absence of Bogut and Barnes, combined with Bogut being in Cleveland. So not only is he no longer for you there at Golden State, but now he's playing for the nemesis, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers. So he's able not only to be a rim protector, but he buffers and elevates the stature of Tristan Thompson, who now has somebody to suffer to spell for him. And then take this into account, Max Kellerman. And even though we were talking about the Western Conference, let's just veer to the finals for a second here. How did Cleveland win the championship? It just wasn't because of the greatness of LeBron and Kyrie. It was also because they dictated place, because they got more physical. Okay. Well, could you imagine this? Bogut in the middle, just for at least some minutes. Bogut in the middle, Tristan Thompson as your power forward, LeBron as your small forward. Could you imagine how you have the potential to be? And the reason why I throw that out there is because we actually saw Tristan Thompson out at the three-point line defending Steph Curry and Klay Thompson at times on the perimeter, so he can move his feet and defend.